Well, folks, here it is. It is official. Donald Trump Corporation guilty of the following, and the Payroll Corporation guilty of the following. All counts are guilty. Scheme to defraud in the first degree, guilty. Conspiracy in the fourth degree, guilty. Criminal tax fraud in the third degree, guilty. Criminal tax fraud in the third degree, guilty. Fourth degree, guilty. Falsifying business records, 1, 2, 3, 4 counts, guilty across the board here. Scheme to defraud in the first degree, guilty. Conspiracy fraud over here for the Payroll Corporation, same thing, guilty. Third degree twice, guilty. Fourth degree once, guilty here. And first degree for falsifying business records, guilty. Across the board. This is a big ruling here. This was a jury trial. They were in their second day of deliberations, and they came out with a decision just moments ago. You've got again, this is not Donald Trump personally. This is the Trump Organization, the parent company, as well as the Trump payroll company. This follows a 13-year period of tax fraud that was alleged, and the Trump Organization has been found guilty of. A 3-year investigation went into this, and reports are that investigations for potential other charges are not actually over yet. Donald Trump, of course, calls this a witch hunt. The prosecution here argued in their closing arguments that the evidence shows that Donald Trump personally, quote, explicitly okayed tax fraud. Some of the charges included avoiding taxes, avoiding payroll taxes and income taxes on certain fringe benefits, like, for example, corporations providing free apartments, free vacation homes, free luxury cars, free private school for children of employees, holiday bonuses dressed up as consulting fees. All of these as a way to avoid taxes. So to go into this a little bit more in depth, if you receive a holiday bonus and you're a salaried employee, technically, or you're just an employee, whether you're salaried or hourly, you're supposed to pay payroll taxes on that bonus. But if you take it as a consultant, then it's almost like you were running a side hustle. And when you have a side hustle, which is actually the same work as what you're doing, then you can write off things that you otherwise might not be able to write off. But if you were technically an employee, you shouldn't be able to classify certain payments as a contractor when you were in fact an employee. By being a contractor, you get some more privileges for write-offs. Also, keep in mind that while company fringe benefits are normal, they're supposed to generally be de minimis, or you pay taxes on them. So for example, a one-off company picnic, the company can expense that, right? And the employee doesn't have to pay taxes on that. But when and obviously anytime when it comes to taxes, always talk to your CPA to verify this sort of information. But when it comes to having a free apartment, that's a benefit that should be included in your gross pay according to the Internal Revenue Service. If you get a vacation home provided to you by a company, that should be included in your gross pay, which means you pay income taxes on it and you pay payroll taxes on it. You get a luxury car provided for you and you get to use it for your personal purposes. That should be part of your gross income, and you should pay taxes on that. That's the allegation, and that's what the IRS rules are. Now, again, if you show up to work and there's a company vehicle there that you use during company operation time, hours, and it's wrapped as a company vehicle, its only purpose is a company vehicle, that would be different, right? That's different from receiving as additional compensation a luxury vehicle that you could then personally use, right? That would be taxed, whereas the other would be a business expense and not taxed to the employee. Just a few examples, of course. Now, a lot of this case involved the sort of consulting fees and these fringe benefits that went without taxation, really just to avoid paying additional taxes that should have otherwise clearly been paid. The New York court, this jury, found, again, the Trump Organization guilty on all of those counts. I'll pull up the counts again in a moment. It does create some potential issues for the Trump Organization, though, above and beyond the penalty, which might only be about $1.6 million. We expect the jury to decide on some form of sentencing next week. I believe Monday they will deliberate on not necessarily the jury, the judge will deliberate on some kind of punishment or charge here. We expect that to be somewhere around $1.6 million, which should be relatively nominal for the Trump Organization. But the problem it creates now is, quite a bit. The parent company is now technically a guilty felon. It makes it harder for the parent company, the Trump Organization, to do business with banks. It becomes a required disclosure anytime you go look for commercial loans, personal loans, whatever it may be, for real estate acquisitions or expansion or whatever. Now you have to disclose and explain this sort of fraud. You might get denied. You might get higher interest rates. You could be barred from doing work with certain government institutions. And really, it provides a lot of ammunition to Tish James, or Letitia James, her full name, her $250 million civil suit to basically try to bar Donald Trump and the Trump Organization from operating as executives for corporations, or potentially even being able to buy real estate in the state of New York. Just to fill you in, Letitia James is the Attorney General in New York, and she's a Democrat, and she is going hard on Donald Trump for potentially alleging that valuations he assigned to certain properties and to the valuations that he gave to his own net worth to win certain contracts materially gave him an advantage in making money in the state of New York, when the reality is he allegedly defrauded people based on the valuations of his net worth, his estate, and real estate properties. Now, I made a complete video breakdown of the $250 million civil suit. If you want to look at that, just type into YouTube, me, Kevin, Trump, $250 million civil suit, and you could go through my complete breakdown of that lawsuit where we actually open up the docs in that. This is a separate matter. This is a separate matter because it's a criminal matter. And these criminal charges are ones, again, not filed against Donald Trump himself. They do obviously come as a smear against Donald Trump in his presidential campaign. A lot of Republicans already have begun distancing themselves from Donald Trump, though some folks who are very much fans of Donald Trump see that as an insult. They see that as those are potentially rhinos, Republicans in name only, distancing themselves from Trump. Though a lot of folks do say that, it's time for some fresh Republican blood to potentially step up to run for president. And this is putting a lot of focus on specifically Ron DeSantis from Florida, who had a very extremely strong showing in the midterm election, winning seats that were previously held by Democrats, winning by a landslide his gubernatorial campaign's reelection, and even winning Miami, which is historically a very liberal, heavily foreign populated district, and Ron DeSantis won there. So these charges are certainly going to hurt against the Trump Organization, but also Donald Trump's political aspirations. Donald Trump, just as recently as a couple days ago, after the release of the Twitter files, called for potentially an overthrow of the Constitution, called for a terminating of fraudulent laws that would have enabled this sort of election interference, which, of course, Elon Musk also echoes that the Twitter files were a form of election interference. I made my own personal video on the Twitter files. Just type into YouTube, Meet Kevin Twitter files, and you can see where I actually talk about my own campaign to run for governor in the state of California and how I was censored through the electoral process, and I should say what I discovered after I ran my election from leaks within the media. Now, a star witness here was an individual who worked for Donald Trump. I believe it's either Wieselberg or Weiselberg. I'm not exactly sure. If it's like a German descent, it's probably Weisselberg. But I think some people are going to look at it because EI is in German is usually I. But I think some people might say Wieselberg. Either way, Mr. Wieselberg, Weiselberg, whatever it is, testifying to avoid up to 15 years in prison. He admitted to being embarrassed, admitted to having acted for personal gain, and admitted to having betrayed Donald Trump's trust. What I think is really interesting here is I think this corporate executive for Trump really took the fall for Trump. I think that's pretty common around the Trump Organization is that when problems arise, other people end up taking the fall. And I think that's an example of what's happening here as well. Again, this penalty of $1.6 million, I don't think is really going to be the big deal. I think the bigger issue for the Trump Organization is going to be how could this potential criminal evidence be used against the Trump Organization and Donald Trump in the $250 million civil lawsuit brought by the Attorney General against Donald Trump. That's going to be a really big deal for the Trump Organization. I'm going to go ahead and see if there's any kind of comment from Donald Trump right now on Truth Social. But this catches you up to Donald Trump's Trump Organization being guilty on all accounts. We have, let's see here. Here we go. Donald Trump did tweet. Did he just delete it? It was a Truth Social post, and I think it's gone. Oh, it was just there. I think he just deleted it. I'm going to see if I can try to find it. But he tweeted some kind of complaint about Fringe, or not tweeted, I should say. It was Truth Social, right? So let me see if I can find it. The internet never dies. So let's see if we can find that really quickly. But that would be really interesting. If somebody can find a link for it, let me know. Fringe benefits. But it was Donald Trump saying something about fringe benefits, which is really clearly about this case. And I don't think I can find it. Darn it. I saw it and it disappeared. It looks like he posted something trying to defend fringe benefits on Truth Social as a way to basically water down what was said. Let me see if I could just Google Trump's Truth Social posts. Yeah, fringe benefits now. Anyway, I'm sure we could find something on that. But anyway, it does look like there was some form of post on Truth Social where Donald Trump was trying to defend the payments of fringe benefits. That has since been deleted. Oh, well. So that was Donald Trump's response to these allegations here. I'm going to take one more look here. Donald Trump. Yeah, no, it's been deleted. Oh, well. Okay, so yeah, those are the charges against the Trump organization right now. Donald Trump, of course, reiterating that this is a witch hunt, defending the idea of ultimately a some form of rights for fringe benefits for corporations. Again, in this video, I've explained what some of the fringe benefits for corporations are. There are de minimis exemptions, but luxury cars, apartments, vacation homes are definitely not fringe benefits that are exempt from taxation under the de minimis rules. It looks like here we're starting to get some talk about how this is potentially slowly washing Donald Trump out of the political spectrum. Obviously, this being written by somebody who's not a fan of Donald Trump. Many articles being posted. I'm looking at the Newswire right now on this. A lot of news articles coming in through about this right now. Let's see if what kind of comments we have. That's a lot of guilty. It's a lot of guilty. Yeah, no kidding. I'll remember Trump University. I see a comment here. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I think there you have it. Donald Trump guilty again on all accounts, expecting about Donald Trump's organization and the payroll company guilty on all accounts. There were 17. You could see them listed here. The largest impact will be, I believe, on Donald Trump in the potential for his $250 million civil lawsuit in New York, fighting the district attorney, claiming Donald Trump's valuations were potentially inappropriate for his net worth. That's going to be a big deal. And unfortunately, this criminal lawsuit makes that a lot harder, especially now that a guilty verdict has been reached. If you want to see more details on that $250 million lawsuit, that video is titled Trump versus New York, Massive Fraud Lawsuit First Look. And you could get those details by searching for that video right here. Meet Kevin, Trump versus New York, Massive Fraud Lawsuit First Look. And we actually go through 28 minutes of that lawsuit. So you're welcome to take a look at that after this video. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.